Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our Sprint demo. We're wrapping up Sprint 2 in our work cycle, and this will be Comet Sprint 38, Daylight Sprint 10, and Lark Sprint 13. Today we're going to hear from our awesome product teams on those, and they have some amazing updates to share. I think I definitely want to call out some of the shared component items that our Daylight team's been working on. They're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to give that a little bit of a nudge because I think that's super important to the future of that platform. And they've been really thinking very deeply about that. So stay tuned and try and pick up on that thread because that's pretty awesome. All right, and Gabriella, would you like to walk us through some of the Comet updates?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So the goal of this sprint for Comet specifically was to continue to fix a number of bugs which had been identified in the previous sprint. Let me share my screen actually so I could show you some of the work that the team did today. All right. Specifically, let's see, the bugs that were related to the import feature included the bulk racks importer, ignoring user supplied source IDs from user CSV files. But what Margaret discovered as that the issue seemed to be, not seemed to be, but the issue was that for some CSVs that were saved as CSV UTF-8, which I was doing often, they included a Unicode BOM, a BOM, a byte order mark at the beginning of that file, which was not being stripped out by bulk racks. But since then, that has been fixed. Let me show you something here where the bulk racks importer, and I think this is you, Chrissy, that noted that when we were importing a CSV, the importer or bulk racks immediately reported validated when indeed it was not validated. We should be seeing something like pending. So that's been fixed. Let me see if I could get one to work here. So let me get this out of the way here so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to create a new one, new importer. Okay, so here I will click create and validate, and it should take us back here to the importer view page. You see that says validate pending now instead of complete or validated, which was not the case. So if I refresh, I should be, oh, so it failed. But see, at least it told me, hey, your spreadsheet is bad, it's not working, but it did not lie to me and say that it validated. So this is a step where I'll have to go in there and eventually try to figure out what was wrong with my spreadsheet to fix it. But the main point is that we got that issue fixed for users. Another thing that we fixed was a 500 error that we were seeing when we were trying to filter statistics by date in the user dashboard. If you clicked here on the left, this section where you could select your start date was not working, and it is working now. So if I go back in time a bit and then leave this as this, I think the default is today, and I load, then it changes the statistics view page with new things since that date that I selected. What else did we do? Oh, one thing that I did note, and I did mention to you, Michael, is that the editing of a file set does work in production. So if I go into my objects and look for something that has a file set in it, I can now change the title to the file set, which we couldn't before. Here's the file set, edit, and let me just save. Voila, it's been changed. So yay. That is a nice feature. We've been waiting for that for some time now. And I believe those are all the bugs that I captured for the sprint. Michael, I don't know if you wanted to talk about any stability testing for the environments or not, but that's all I have to share about work that was accomplished in this sprint for Comet.
Oh, thanks, Gabriella. Yeah, I think it would be worth highlighting some of the like really deep dive that Longshu was doing on large file sets, um, specifically file sets that sort of exceed the allocated memory in that. And so I think the sort of upstream and local work that Longshu was doing to resolve those, we're near complete on that. That's going to be really important, especially as we start ingesting large files. So as people start thinking about research data and other, not just little tiny shape files, that'll be becoming very critical. And I think we made significant inroads there, and we're waiting on, I think, one more MR for that. And so we're sort of carrying that over but that was a tremendous amount of work that Longshu did on that. So shout out to Longshu, thank you. And yeah, Gabrielle, I think the other like performance and stability related conversations that we had were really narrowing the definition of what it means to be in production, which really an emphasis on owning and recovering the application stack for any number of reasons. And so we also continue to, we intend to continue to put a finer point on that in the coming sprints. And I think having said that, we will turn it over to our Daylight team.
Yeah, so Daylight has had a lot of work done on the components. We took a lot of time to think about accessibility last sprint and what that would look like in our components. And so we've started to fold that into what that will actually be. What we've done is also kind of hook up two of our components together. And actually, let me take it two steps backwards. We are building a micro front end for Daylight. We are looking to have components that can be reused, reorganized on a page, restyled depending on their use case. And so what we wanted to do as our goal this time is to create interactivity between those components. So as one component is edited, another component actually will refresh its data and show you a new updated version. So what we're going to do is kick off with David first, and he's going to show us what he did with the search bar.
Cool. Okay, give me a second here to load this up. Oh, I mean, share it. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to be demoing the search bar component, which is basically a drop down, a search bar, and a action button combined to look like your standard search experience. And for the functionality aspect of it, what we did on this one was we have a drop down that allows you to select from a few different facets and pass keywords. So in this case, this is the functionality Elisa was alluding to. You pass a keyword, we send it off to location bar, and that's where her component, the results list, will capture that and be able to produce some results on the screen. For the additional work that we did on this too is like this summer when we first made this component, we just used Bootstrap to kind of just quickly output like, a good looking search bar. So part of the refactor we did for this was we made the decision to strip out Bootstrap and just use vanilla CSS and vanilla HTML. So that was part of the work and restyling this to look like that. And then we also did a responsive check, made a decision and to like where we wanted this thing to be responsive because the component itself is supposed to live within a container on the page. And usually, well, not usually, it always takes up 100% of its width, but given the size of the container at a certain point, it'll squish down a little. And you need to see that again. It's kind of like that components drop down kind of gets a little tiny to kind of save space. So that way we can drop all the way down to like 300-ish without any issue. And so that's kind of like the responsive part. And for the accessibility pass, we made sure that, you can come in here and you can like tab through the different things without any issue. And then we also made a pass at ensuring, especially like on the mobile view, like when you're tiny, you can't really see what's going on here. If you select something else, we're dynamically updating the placeholder text to kind of keep you up informed as to like, what you're selecting. And beyond that, it's kind of like also too, like we're dynamically updating these, but we have some hidden label text here that we're using that's used by screen readers. So like we're making sure that if we're changing this up here too, that the label itself is also getting updated. So that way when you have a screen reader experience, the people using that interface won't miss out on any of the information there. And looking over my notes, I think pretty much touched everything I wanted to say about it. I guess one last bit, and maybe Elisa can go into this a little bit more, but like we stumbled across some accessibility research that, we used to have an icon here and we decided to replace it with actual word search. So that way it's a little more usable for people. And I think I got most of what I wanted to talk about. So I'll pass it off to you, Elisa.
Yeah. And so I'll share my screen now and show you how we hook that up. All right. And so what will end up happening is, again, that URL is going to change based on what that user's term is. So if the user had entered apples, our results list will dynamically change to show the matching results to that word, to that term, to that facet. And so the fun piece here is we have 4 components on this demo page. We have a eyebrow component, we have that search bar, we have a pagination component, and then we have the results item, and the list of results is in its own component. And so again, these components can be put in any order or used on any page as needed. And it's really it was really exciting to see the changes happening in more than one component. And so the fact that we were able to validate that when a change happens in one component, we can also use that information to give us a change to another component. That was really the goal of this sprint, is that interactivity between components. The other piece that was worked on is in this eyebrow component. Again, it was a refactor. We had done an initial header component, and this has been updated to an eyebrow that also has responsive behavior. Along with responsive behavior, it has accessibility aids like keyboard focus, the ability to use your keyboard and your tab buttons. It also has ARIA tags and labeling so that we know if this is an expanded menu that disappears, because if that were the case, a screen reader would need to know that action happened. And so we have put in the needed ARIA to label whether it's expanded or not expanded. In most of these cases, the information too that you see on the page is also dynamic. So a university of anywhere from anywhere gets to be whatever the backend data or the deployment refers to. Same with the menuing, same with the list of results. These are all dynamic pieces that are grabbed and then displayed. Same will be with this all fields. Like these things all come in and are generated from outside information sources and then edited into the components themselves. And so that is how Daylight progressed in this last sprint.
Thanks,
Thank
Elisa
you.
and David. That is so exciting. I think it's really cool to see those shared components being reused and then the iterative design that we're going to see in upcoming sprints. And in case people are wondering if I'm teasing what we're going to see in upcoming sprints, yes, I absolutely am. It's going to be amazing. Margaret, would you like to talk a little bit about Lark for us?
Yeah, I can give a quick update on Lark. I don't have anything exciting to demo, but I will say that our work to convert it into Rails has moved along pretty well. We've had a little bit of issue getting it actually deployed in our review environments, but I think we worked out the last of those kinks this morning, hopefully, fingers crossed. So once that's done, the future work there is we're really looking seriously at bringing over some of the work we've done for Superskunk on the Superskunk API and using that to also supply the Lark API. Whereas all of our existing work that we've put into Lark on the back end modeling and how things are reflected in the database and all of that is all good and will continue the way that it has been. So taking advantage of the work that we've been doing more recently on SuperSkunk for the kind of API and server response kinds of things while keeping the core of the work that we've done on Lark in the past the same is the goal for this work cycle. And I think we're still on track to, by the end of the work cycle, be in a place where we can ingest some CSVs and then demo some Lark responses. So we're continuing to make progress towards that goal.
Excellent. Thanks so much. I think before we sort of wrap up our demo today, I just want to give a quick shout out to some of the infrastructure discussions that we've had this sprint. We had some really, really good deep thinking about future issues that we're going to be facing when we get into production. I just want to give a quick shout out to Alex and Mac and Matt and Ron. That's been a lot of thinking that necessarily isn't demoable at the moment, but is going to be critical to the path of the project moving forward. So thank you. And I think that's about it for this demo. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks so much.